Hello and welcome to the Nonprofit Narrative Podcast, the go-to podcast and space for marketing managers, development directors, and those who are passionate about telling a great story for their nonprofit and reaching new heights. My name is Dan Portnoy. Hi. And today we're going to be diving into the world of nonprofit storytelling, donor engagement, and fundraising strategies. Whether you want to refine your narrative, boost your fundraising efforts, or seek inspiration and guidance, you're in the right place. Together, we're going to explore innovative ideas, practical tips, and success stories that can help you turn a mission into a movement. And this is so super important. So let's get started to unlock your full potential of your nonprofit story. All right, so today we're going to be talking about transforming nonprofit narratives. So I'd like to briefly introduce the podcast to the episode's focus that is on the Nonprofit Narrative Academy. That's a new thing that I've got coming out, so I wanted to tell you about it. So it's a brand new piece that you can sign up. It's $50. I know maybe I'm supposed to stick to the end and then tell you the price, but I'll get that out of the way because that's the question everybody says. So the tough part about nonprofit fundraising is that you're busy and you're trying to figure it out. You're probably just catching up from all the things from last semester or last fall, and you've just come through maybe a rough 2023, and now here you are, and you've got to try to figure out, what am I doing for this new year? Well, because I'm on a mission to help you create the best story that you can for your nonprofit and help you raise more money than you ever have before. That's why I started the Academy. So here's how it works. You sign up, and you can either sign up for $50 a month, or you can pay the whole thing up front. And if you do, there's a little bit of savings. They're about 20% or so. And if you do that, what's going to happen is every month I'm going to give you an ebook, I'm going to give you an audiobook, and then in our second week, there's going to be a training on basically all the process of the ebook and the audiobook. So like if your life is busy and you don't have time to sit down and read an audiobook or read a regular book or listen to an audiobook because it's so busy, don't worry. Check out the training. It's a video. It's going to go live. It's just for you. It's not publicly available. It's just about this new and kind of expanded version of some things I've talked about in the past, but it's just as if I were your nonprofit consultant. And the point is that you can, access this information basically for the whole year. So you can move at your own pace. You can stick with me. And every month I'm going to be rolling out new pieces, new ebooks every month, new audiobooks, a new training, a new podcast every month. It's going to be with some sort of professional, probably not in the nonprofit world. And I know that's probably a little weird. I'm looking right now at who can help us with on the story side of things. Like, so screenwriters, it's going to be, hopefully we're going to have some people who design titles for shows because those, the things that they do, they're able to boil down an entire show into about 60 seconds, which is very important. That's a great skill for us to be able to glean from. So different things like that throughout the year. Then there's going to be a Q&A, which is the last month or the last week of the year. There'll be a Q&A from me, basically live. And I want you to sign up and I want you to be there at the live question and answer so we can talk about what our theme for the month was, or we can also talk about wherever you are and what you're working on. The whole point is actually access. It's not so much like all of the knowledge and that's a knowledge base and it's there for you and it's fantastic. But the idea is access. How do I fix these things? How do I get these things done? I've been doing this for a decade and a half of fixing problems for nonprofits. Before that, I worked at a nonprofit, and I know a lot of the stuff that you're dealing with, and I want to help you change things. And so, I'm probably supposed to charge a lot more. I'm probably supposed to, because the idea is like when I do an engagement with a nonprofit, it's not cheap because the point is that we take over a lot of the marketing. We take over doing a lot of the day-to-day operations. And I actually love it. I think it's fantastic, but not everybody can afford that, big 5-figure, 6-figure kind of contract engagement. So instead, can you sign up for as a small or medium-sized nonprofit and get that advantage? So let's talk about it a little bit. One of the things that we're going to be doing, and I've got some notes right here, so that's what I keep looking at. The thing is there's high competition, limited resources. This is the kind of stuff that we're dealing with. You want to have some fun, right? I mean, I don't think everybody wants to just live in this like moving from fire to fire and constantly saying things like, well, we're busy right now. We're just really busy. And you're doing a lot of apologies in your emails. I get that. And I understand where you are, but we don't want to stay there. So we want to keep moving and moving forward with our communication. And we want to move forward with talking to people and developing those relationships, because that's where the donations are going to happen. That's where just a better time is going to happen. I'll just tell you, it's a better time. So let's look. What's the next piece that we're going to be talking about? So storytelling is probably the piece that I enjoy the most. I know that it's funny from a marketing standpoint. I think that by saying storytelling is actually probably the worst version. I should tell you, I should put fundraising out front. I should be like talking money, because that's the benefit. But the reason I don't do that is because usually what a lot of people try to do is they kind of pump me for information, which I do not enjoy. And they'll be like, okay, how do I get to the money? Money. How do we work it? And by going the storytelling route, it gives me a little more of a buffer, which I enjoy personally. But the point being is that it takes some time to work with your audience and then get them ready for this storytelling kind of piece. We've got to condition them a bit because it's very possible. And say if 2023 wasn't a great time, it's possible that you've been just kind of beating the dead horse with one kind of offer, which is like, hey, I need some help. I need your money. Hey, I need your help. We could use your help. Can I get, would you be a donor here? Would you be a donor over here? Would you be a regular monthly donor? What kind of donor do you want to be? And I get that that's the exchange, you give me money, I give you good feelings. That's the nonprofit kind of exchange. But I think it's much better to say, hey, you're with us. And to be with us, I have to talk to you from a storytelling perspective. I have to bring you along the journey of the whole year. And that's what I'm trying to do with the Academy, because I think that is really important. And I want to make a big difference for you and what you're doing at your nonprofit. Okay, so let's talk about crucial things. I think that storytelling is easier because it's part of our DNA. I think there's a lot that you know about storytelling right now. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to learn a whole lot. You don't have to read all the books behind me. You don't have to. Storytelling right now. Why? What does it look like on Monday morning when somebody comes back from the weekend? What do? They start telling stories. That is happening in your office right now. Like that happened at everybody's office every Monday morning. That's how it works. It's no big deal. Or, hey, what's happening? How did your vacation go? They tell you a story. They don't just give you some bullet points and then ask you if you want to see like 4,000 slides. No, they are telling you the story of what happened and how they got there, and was there trouble in the travel, or what happened, back and forth. It's just a really easy way to get through it. And to connect with people, and that emotional connection of like, oh, it was terrible, and then we had to go, and it's just a better way to do things. It's a better way to connect. It's a better way to make friends as well. And I think it's always interesting because when we talk about like donor relationship management, usually the management is like mostly about one-sidedly asking for money, which if you had a friend who constantly asked you for money, how long would you be friends? And you might be friends for a while, but that's putting a lot on you. Like if I constantly asked you for money and you stayed my friend for a long time, well, that's actually more because of who you are as a person, not because of anything that I'm doing. Some people will be like, well, I'm out right away. And some will stick around and hang out a little longer. And while that's nice, that is probably not the norm. So it's important that we kind of flip things up. And I want to teach you how we can do that throughout the year. One of the things that I do want to talk about is if you do not address pain points, which is, so you've gone through 2023 and everything is going fine, but you're not hitting your goals in terms of financially, or maybe your email list is just like kind of crapping out and people aren't really opening it anymore, and they're kind of they're unsubscribing and all of that. Well, if you don't address some of these pain points, you're going to be in trouble when it's time to fund some of those critical programs that you need. Like all of a sudden there's a freeze and people are going to have to get let go. And that's just, I don't want to have that for you. I don't want to have your communities not be able to financially be in, you be involved to write grants or to fund programs or help people. I don't want that. I mean, that's what we do as marketers, right? We do this work and then we dump the cash on program, and program side gets to like run and make all these great things happen. I think the cycle of ineffective communication and missed fundraising targets will lead to a demoralized team. And we don't want that. So I'm not interested in potentially jeopardizing your future. I'm not interested in making things sad for your nonprofit. I want to help. So I think I'm supposed to, as an expert, I'm supposed to say things like enrollment is very limited. You need to apply. It's a whole process to get through. And if we can do all those things, then I'll let you in. Well, I don't want to do that. I mean, I'll be blunt. I saw that. I didn't like it. And one of the things that has been very good for me is that when I see something and it is happening in nonprofit marketing and I don't like it, I just don't do it. And that's worked out for me. So I hope it will work out for me in the sense of people signing up. Some people have already signed up and they're already in and they're already getting my first book that has come out in 12 years. It's called Strategic Foundations. And it's the beginning of how to tell the story of your nonprofit and step by step. And I'm going to be building on that literally every month. So we're going to go through, if you go to the website, nonprofitnarrativeacademy.com, you can see what are the subjects that I'm going to cover literally February, March, April, May, going through the whole thing. And you can come and go as you please. It just makes it really easy. I want to help you get past stagnation. I want to help you bring it back to that passion that started when you first started with your nonprofit. You didn't start working at this nonprofit because you weren't interested in what they were doing and you wanted to apologize to people and send these emails and like hurry to try and get out an annual report or any of that. You didn't do it for that. You did it because you wanted to change the world. You did it because you value the organization that you're working for. Well, let's get to that. Let's make it so it's easy for your team, for your donors to get involved and make a big difference. So let me scroll through all this. Wow. I have so many notes here. So there is homework. So let's talk about that a little bit. There's when you first sign up, one of the things that I ask you to do is start putting together some data on your organization. Now, you may already have this data. I'm calling it key performance indicators or KPIs, but that's not exactly true because KPIs, usually we pick 4 to 6. In the beginning, it's actually a whole bunch of data because I want us to pick the pain points as we go along. So we're going to pull out a lot of data on your organization. You're going to know a lot of things. You're going to have to go back about 12 to 18 months and start looking at what worked, what didn't work. And honestly, making some tough calls, making some, just some honest, look at yourself in the mirror and say, well, maybe some of this is on us. Not because I want to bring shame to you or like just make things terrible. No, not at all. I want you to, but we have to figure out what's wrong, right? Like that's the big thing where we start. So, and the other thing is, when you sign up and you start filling out, so I'm going to have you fill out some key performance indicators, and there's also a editorial calendar that you can download and start building out because that's part of the process of maybe you have one already, but if you don't, there's one there for you. And then you get the audiobook and the ebook to check out on, and there's some homework actually within the ebook. There's a whole bunch of worksheets on, so how do I do this nonprofit storytelling thing, Dan? Well, it's in the worksheets. There's literally like, where are you on this? How is this going? Do you know about this? So it's very much from a standpoint of maybe you don't know anything. And that's where I'm coming from. Not because I want to insult you, but rather I'd like to meet everybody where they are. So maybe you know more than you're on the intermediate or even the expert side of things. You can blaze through some of those homework pieces, that worksheet, those checklists. So you don't have to worry about it. Let's see. So like I said, if I were doing anything on the consulting side, a minimum engagement for me is $10,000. So if you want me to help your nonprofit, which I'd love to, it's $10,000. But not everybody's sitting around on $10,000 to say, well, what is this going to do? Well, I know that if you pay me $10,000, I can work with your nonprofit to help you raise about anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million more than you did before. It's happened. I've done it many times. So the idea being, if you spend $500, I know that I'm going to give you this information. You can change your nonprofit by $10,000 at least before the end of the year. Just with this little thing. It could be $10,000 this month. It really just depends on where you are and how flexible you want to be. If you're saying, hey, I'm up for anything, let's change the culture in our nonprofit. And I'd say, okay, it's going to take 6 months. It's going to take 6 months. Nobody wants to talk about that. Like, I'm supposed to sell you this great idea that I can just turn around right away. But really the change starts, if we started right now, we'd look at 6 weeks out as a way to start conditioning the audience. And then we talk about 6 months from now, hopefully we're seeing a trend, a change. And we usually do, but it takes a while. And it takes a while because I have to get to know where you are, and I have to get to know what you're up to and how to best, fill in the gaps and get us launching for the next piece. That's a thing that we're going to do in the academy, making it easy, but a little more is on you. So there's a little more homework, but the price is a lot less. Okay. So tangible outcomes. So let's talk about that. Like I said, I think it can just make a big difference in your financial, but I think also you will talk to more people. We're going to talk about acquisition. We're going to talk about how you're building up to people, how you're making things that are shareable, that are basically turning your donors into an army of people that talk about what you have going on. And when that happens, that's when they get their friends to talk about it, and their friends are signing up for what you're doing. There are things that you offer. There's knowledge that you offer. There is an understanding. There's an insight, and that is valuable. It isn't just good feelings. You can offer so much more. So we want to talk about that and get that figured out. Next up is basically just the Q&A at the end of the month. We are going to talk about literally anything. So I'm going to stick with the training to start with of like, hey, how did you do on this? Like for January, we'd be talking about how did you do putting together your story? We're going to talk about that. But one of the bonus sessions is going to be talking about welcome videos. So what's your welcome video like? Do you have a welcome video? I hope you do. If you don't have a welcome video like that says, this is what we're about, this is where we are, this is what we're updating, this is, or it should be updating every year. Your welcome video should be, maybe you made one just a year ago or 2 years ago, but it should get updated with what happened in 2023, just to do a little addendum on there. Maybe there's a piece that you can adjust. That's a really good idea. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to say, hey, what's going on? We're going to look at welcome videos. We're going to play them. We're going to see what works, what doesn't work. It's all part of the Nonprofit Narrative Academy. So that's pretty much it for the podcast. I've got some guests coming up actually pretty soon. 2024 is going to be a big one for the Nonprofit Narrative Podcast. Thanks for being here. And do me a favor. If you like this kind of stuff, tell your friends, subscribe on multiple platforms. I'm on Apple, we're on Spotify. Hit the subscribe button, tell your friends, tell them that it's worthwhile, and we'll see you at the nonprofitnarrativeacademy.com, or you can just check me out at portnoymedia.com. And then if you have any questions, it's dan@portnoymedia.com. All right, catch you later. I'm Dan Portnoy. Have a great one. Take care.